Hey everyone, my name is Todd Bigelow. For the past 30 years, I've been a freelance photographer based primarily out of Los Angeles, an adjunct professor of photography and photojournalism, and a soon-to-be author on a book on freelance business practices. This is 2 Minutes with Todd, where I break down business topics that freelancers face on a near daily basis. Let's get into it. Hey everyone. So in previous episodes of this short video series, I've talked a fair amount about how to do things, how to pitch a project, how to analyze a contract, things along that line. Today I want to talk less about how to do something and more about the impact of our actions, what I call real consequences. Okay, so most specifically, and of course it all ties together as all of these subjects do. So licensing ties into contracts and contracts ties into client development and so forth. Our consequences are obviously going to be a result of the choices we make along the lines of a contract and licensing and so forth. But those consequences can have real impact on your business, on how you freelance, and whether or not you're going to, earn enough income each month to cover your bills and hopefully put a little bit of money in the bank. Real consequences, there's 5 of them that I want to kind of just drill home with you, right? And they all relate to the importance of holding on to your work, to the image rights. When you hold on to your image rights, you can leverage the rights to that work, assuming they're good images, in all sorts of ways that will bring in licensing revenue, secondary revenue. If you do not hold on to those rights and you provide those rights to others, there are real consequences. And that obviously is in the loss of income. With that loss of income, you potentially lose the ability to cover some of the necessary expenses to run a freelance business. Several of those are insurance. Okay, as a freelance photographer, you need to have insurance, and not just insurance to cover your equipment. As vital as that is, you also need a liability policy that will cover you in the event something happens when you're on an assignment. Many times I've been asked to provide a certificate of insurance to get onto a property, a county property, to do a portrait I had to do not too long ago at USC, County USC Hospital. I have to prove that I'm insured, so in case something happens. That secondary licensing revenue by holding onto your images can help you pay for your insurance. My insurance runs about $700 a year. It's not a huge amount, but I rely on the extra income to help cover that. Another expense, obviously, our equipment. So, your camera bodies, your mics, your lenses, your lighting gear, all of your equipment, your bags, all of the things that we kind of take for granted because we have them, but obviously we don't take them for granted when it comes time to buying your new mirrorless camera or your new DSLR and you're shelling out several $1,000s just for the body. Okay, the secondary licensing income by holding on to your image rights will help you cover those expenses. Another expense, obviously, again, your computers, your software subscriptions, your CF cards, your SD cards, all of the necessary components for doing your post-production work. Those are very serious expenses, as we know. Computers are not cheap. We usually need at least one, maybe a laptop and a desktop. I have 2 laptops and a desktop that I don't use too often, but I definitely just ended up using my backup laptop when I had to send in my main computer for a repair. That is a serious expense. Again, holding onto your image rights will allow you to offset the cost of those expenses by earning secondary licensing income. Another, obviously, healthcare insurance. So as a freelance photographer, perhaps you're picking it up, through your spouse, but if not, you're going to have to find a way to engage in being properly insured. That is not cheap. Okay, that is not something that you should take for granted. You're going to need insurance, unfortunately. You're going to have to go out and buy that on the secondary market. Again, holding onto your image rights allows you to develop some secondary income that can hopefully offset that expense. And then last but not least, the fifth expense that I would like you guys to consider for valid reasons to hold on to your image rights is your retirement, which maybe some of you are watching this and thinking, I can't think about retirement at 25, 28, 30 years old. I get it. Trust me. It was not too long ago that I was, more or less in that camp. Although I can tell you that it is vitally important that you keep that in mind and set aside whatever you possibly can, $100, $200, $300, whatever the case might be, for the time that comes eventually, where you won't be working as much and you'll be counting on the income that you have saved for retirement. Okay. Now, what do all of those have in common? Pretty much all of those are provided for you if you're an employee. Okay, you're going to be provided equipment if you're a staff photographer, provided the computers, provided a healthcare plan in all likelihood. You're going to be provided, you won't even need insurance. You're an employee of a company. They have the insurance. Okay, so all those are things that would be properly, provided to you as an employee that are not provided to you as a freelancer, which is why you need to hold on to your image rights. Try to leverage those to the best you can. Go back and watch the video about rights managed licensing. Develop some income and offset those expenses so that you can, manage to stay in business. All right? Keep that in mind. Best of luck going forward.